Stimulus check live updates, child tax credit date, plus up payments, and your third check, and how to claim. I'm going to give you guys the latest and the greatest information. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys like and subscribe.
2 million more stimulus payments just went out from the IRS as part of the weekly batch of checks the agency is currently scheduling. That now makes 161 million payments to people who qualify for checks up to $1,400. But whether you're in the group that has already received their money or you're yet to get your payment, these third stimulus checks might not be the end of the money the IRS will send to you. With this year's tax season extending into the middle of May, the additional tax time overlaps with the delivery timeline for the third stimulus checks. If the IRS calculated your payment before receiving your tax return this year, you may be due a plus-up payment. We'll explain about these underestimated payments below, including why you get one and how the money should arrive. And it's not just these plus-up payments you want to keep an eye on. The IRS is sending hundreds of thousands of checks to Social Security recipients and SSI beneficiaries through direct deposit and in the mail, and to eligible people who recently supplied tax information the IRS needed to calculate their stimulus check. Here's how to check your stimulus status with the IRS. We'll lay out what to know, including how to report a stimulus check problem and when it's time to file a payment trace. If you have kids, keep an eye out for child tax credit payments for up to $3,600 to start revving up, and find if your state owes you more money. Here's how a future stimulus plan could bring you more. Also, see how you could get up to $50,000 back with one-time benefits this year. Here's the latest on student loan debt forgiveness and a fourth check. This story has been updated. Plus-up stimulus payments will continue to go out for months from the IRS. If you've already received your third stimulus check, but the IRS calculated your payment using an older tax return it had on hand at the time, you may qualify for a plus-up payment. Last week, the IRS sent 700,000 of these plus-up payments for nearly $1.2 billion to people who had already received their third stimulus check. If your 2020 tax return shows you qualify for a larger payment, the IRS said it will recalculate the amount of your payment and automatically send a plus-up payment for the difference it owes you, after it receives your 2020 tax return, or based on other factors if you don't usually file. The IRS said it will automatically make these catch-up payments to square up what it owes you, but it's a good idea to double-check your amount to confirm how much money you should expect this stimulus round. Then track your payment and hold on to the relevant IRS letter in case you received less than you believe you are eligible for. We don't want you leaving money on the table if you're owed a plus-up payment that, for whatever reason, never arrives. These plus-up payments are now going out weekly along with the third round of checks, but they may not be the only money you're due. For money missing from the first two checks, you need to claim that on your 2020 taxes. Tax day is May 17th. We suggest making sure you also know where to find your adjusted gross income. Tax non-filers may need to be proactive about claiming a new dependent, too. If your stimulus payment arrived by direct deposit, that's how you should expect to receive your plus-up money, too. If the IRS doesn't have your details on file, you may get a paper check instead. Here's how you'll track it in the mail. IRS stimulus payment timeline through December. The majority of the third stimulus check payments have gone out from the IRS and U.S. Treasury, at least based on what the IRS has on hand to determine payment amounts. The March stimulus law, however, gives these federal agencies to December 31, 2021, to send all the third checks. That gives the IRS room to process 2020 tax returns and square up payments for those who are owed plus-up amounts, folks who file a 2020 tax extension, and other groups, like those who moved or don't have a fixed address, such as people experiencing homelessness. If all or part of your stimulus check doesn't arrive by then, you'll need to claim missing money via a 2021 tax return in April 2022, a year from now. This would be similar to the recovery rebate credit for claiming missing money from the first two checks, which is currently in effect for 2020 taxes. Should you track your stimulus payment? Knowing the status of your payment is an important part of making sure you know where your full payment stands. Keep an eye out in the Get My Payment Tracker tool for plus-up payments or other information about your payment. The details are updated once a day, and the tool can flag if there's a problem with your payment that you may need to address by giving you a message. You can also use a free tool from the USPS to track your mailed stimulus payment. Did you receive a smaller amount in your check than expected? The IRS isn't particularly big on communicating how much money it calculates for your stimulus check. You won't find that figure in the agency's online tracking tool, but you will see it in the confirmation letter you'll receive in the mail. And here's why you got the payment size you did. So what happens if you use our stimulus check calculator and notice the numbers seem way off, or the IRS letter quotes an amount you didn't receive? Start by triple-checking your qualifications to make sure you're eligible for the total you expect. Remember, the IRS is automatically sending plus-up payments, and that happens after the agency receives your 2020 tax return. If you had a baby or added a dependent in 2020, you won't need to file an amended tax form to claim the supplement. The IRS could open up claims for missing stimulus money before its December 31st deadline to stop sending checks. If not, you might have to wait a year to claim it when you file your 2021 taxes in 2022, even if you're a non-filer who isn't typically required to file taxes. Do you have a problem with your stimulus payment? Start here. The IRS doesn't want you to call if you have any issue with the delivery or amount of your stimulus check. So what to do instead? Our guide walks you through how to report stimulus check problems, including checks that never arrive. Try filing a payment trace, direct deposit payments that go to the wrong account, and other issues. Why all or some of your stimulus money didn't arrive. There was a calculation error and you need to claim an adjustment or wait for a plus-up payment. You receive SSDI or SSI benefits or veterans benefits and are waiting for your check to show up. Your check is stuck in the mail. Here's how to track it. You may not receive money for all of your dependents, including a new baby or older adult. The IRS based your third stimulus check on your 2019 taxes and you're owed money for your 2020 AGI or dependents. You may be a non-filer who needs to file a 2020 tax return to claim dependents. Your stimulus check was deposited into a closed or temporary bank account. You moved and the IRS doesn't have your correct mailing address to send a check. Your payment may be garnished by private debt collectors. You accidentally threw away the mailed envelope. Also, here's what to know if the IRS sent a letter confirming it sent your stimulus payment, but the money never arrived. Here's more information on problems you might encounter with your stimulus check. Yes, your 2020 tax return could make a big difference in your payment total. Taxes are now due May 17. So how will the IRS figure out how much it owes you? It will calculate your total. You can also do that here. Based on the most recent tax filing it's processed at the time it's ready to tabulate the amount of your stimulus check. If you know your tax return was already processed, your total will likely be based on your 2020 adjusted gross income, not on your 2019 AGI. That presents complications if the difference between the 2 years disqualifies you from getting a third stimulus check. On the flip side, if the IRS uses your 2019 taxes and you're owed more money based on your 2020 AGI and dependents, you could get a plus-up payment. If you've got more money than you're owed, you'll only need to return it to the IRS in some cases. Stimulus check details for SSI and SSDI recipients and veterans. Veterans receiving VA benefits and people who get SSDI and SSI benefits are now receiving stimulus checks from the IRS and Treasury. Delivery details should now be available in the Get My Payment tool. You might get your stimulus money by direct deposit to existing Direct Express cards if this is how you normally receive benefits, and if you didn't file taxes in 2019 or 2020. Otherwise, the money could come in the mail. Here's what to look for so you know it's legit. The SSA says that Social Security beneficiaries like SSI and SSDI groups will not receive an EIP debit card. If you're a tax non-filer and you used the IRS non-filers tool by November 2020 to submit information, you may have already received your check before other Social Security recipients. There's more. Extra rules and exceptions to know. Stimulus checks aren't necessarily a one-size-fits-all situation. Here are guides for households with dependents, including new 2020 or 2021 babies. People who live outside the U.S. or aren't U.S. citizens. People who aren't sure if they're qualified to receive their own stimulus check. Older adults and people who are retired. People who don't normally pay taxes, tax non-filers, families with child support situations. Families with mixed status citizenship. And here's everything you need to know about the third stimulus check. How to calculate your stimulus total and every way the stimulus law can bring you more money. 2020 to submit information. You may have already received your check before other Social Security recipients. There's more. Extra rules and exceptions to know. Stimulus checks aren't necessarily a one-size-fits-all situation. Here are guides for households with dependents, including new 2020 or 2021 babies. People who live outside the U.S. or aren't U.S. citizens. People who aren't sure if they're qualified to receive their own stimulus check. Older adults and people who are retired. People who don't normally pay taxes, tax non-filers, families with child support situations. Families with mixed status.